Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. Chain Film Festival 2020. These are the Talkbacks. I'm here with Zach Crone, director of Matched. Um, Hello, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, and also congratulations on Matched. It is not what I expected.
That
It
was
was
that was kind of the hope. So
No, it was a heck of a punchline. I thought the punchline was much more cuter than I expected.
okay,
uh,
fair.
I enjoyed that. Where did Matched where'd you get the idea to make that specific short movie?
Um, let's see. Well, it started. I was trying to write anything over Christmas in front of the fireplace at my parents' house, and wasn't having luck. And then some little idea popped into my head, and I was like, okay, well that would be a firelight story. Let me try that. And then because I also, I was the cinematographer and the director, and usually I'm lighting things. I was like, well, what happens if I light it just with the match? Because of course, indie filmmaking, you need more challenges.
Yeah.
Um, so it was a little bit of a creative exercise, but it was a lot of fun to do.
To that point, I was that was impressive. That I was like, he's really lighting all this with a match. So then to my question about that is, what did you shoot on?
I had planned to shoot on my usual Canon C200, but wound up switching last minute to the new Blackmagic Pocket 6K because I could use the
Oh,
same lenses.
nice, nice. That is a nice
I needed a
camera.
little bit less. It is. I enjoy shooting with it. I needed a little bit more low light love, and that camera gave it to me. And I had a focus puller, so we could shoot wide open and uh, and get it done.
Oh my goodness. No, there was the long hallway shot where she's lighting, and I was like, you're like that kind of solidified the idea like this is all being done with a match. So
Hmm.
Mazel tov on that because
Thank you.
for indie filmmaking, pulling off that visual, I guess, cue or like that visual element uh all throughout. Like obviously there was the windows and whatnot.
Hmm.
That first window, uh,
Yeah.
that back was that where was the shot?
Well, we shot it out in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
There's a director I work with who's also my best friend, and we shoot a lot of stuff in at his house, and have dressed it completely differently for different things. But we shot there, and the background's a little bit movie magic.
Okay.
I wound up I wound up creating that file and projecting it onto a sheet out of the window, to get that blackout, because it's about 2 feet in between that window and his neighbor's house.
Wow. Wow. Very good
So
work.
I thought
It
about
was
trying to green screen it, but I was like, that's just going to be a nightmare. And I can't light the green screen because that'll mess up everything else. And then I'll have green spill or blue spill. So I decided a little projection. And this was before Mandalorian was doing it. So,
right. Before, yeah. Soon enough, we'll have Unreal Engine just everywhere.
yeah.
It was. I really enjoyed the ingenuity of like the way you use lighting and how you used a lot of the precedents of like the genre.
Hmm.
The mirror bit was for me. I was like, okay, because it wasn't an opening, it was a sliding one, and you slid her face out of the frame,
Yep.
and so I was already like, is this where we finally? It's the slide back. I was like, no, and I just wait till the end. Like where you were going was exactly not where I thought you were, and that was thoroughly enjoyable. How many was this? How many days was this? A day? Just a night?
Yeah. It was just one night. There was a shot in the closet that we did first
Hmm.
because we could.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have any windows to black out for that one. And also the overhead rig took a little minute. And then, but yeah, we shot it a year ago, 2 days ago or something. So,
Hmm.
it gets dark a little early, so that helped. And we wrapped around midnight, you know, took a little dinner break in between. But I'm glad you liked the mirror shot. I almost wound up cutting it, so I'm glad I kept it in.
Oh no, 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 because that's where all the cinephiles will be like, okay, here we go. He's gonna do a new take on the mirror bit.
Yep.
And it was a new take on the mirror bit. Nothing happened.
Nope.
It was great.
Yeah, I
It
thought
was
about
really,
doing a little something there,
and you
but
it just kept
I'm
building
sticking
and
with it.
building. Yeah. Um, so now you're done with this. Before we started recording, you've been working on other shoots and whatnot. After doing this, is this just part of many short films that you're going to do, or is there something bigger on the horizon, or where are you as a filmmaker now?
Um, right now, I'm kind of stuck with the quarantine and COVID situation. It's hard to get a lot of people together in one space to shoot. So I'm just kind of doing work on, major film, TV productions while I can do that before I can get other people together. Just trying to get some writing done, get a couple things in the pipeline. Some of them I could do soon, and some of them, yeah, 80-year-old actors in a hospital. Not shooting that anytime soon.
Nope.
Just not happening.
Nope.
So just trying to, do as much prep work and get ahead of the game wherever I can. Happy to be back at Chain. My first film was at Chain back in 2015 or 16. So happy to be back with another.
Oh, right on. Well, yeah, I really enjoy your sense of humor and your sensibility to the genre, which was really good.
Thank you. Yeah, I was trying to use the genre and have a little fun with it. So I'm glad you enjoyed it. And for 3 minutes, it's a nice little fun ride.
It was a fun ride. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us for this talkback. I am here with Desmond Levi Jackson, director of Wolves. Hello, Levi. Desmond Levi, how are you?
I am great. I'm great, David. Thank you so much for having me here. Yeah, looking forward to chatting.
Dude, congrats on this very interesting and eerie movie. I commend you on it opened my eyes in terms of I've read about it and whatnot, and I watched it. I have some technical things that I really loved, and overall it was a fun short. But for the viewers out there, tell us a little bit about where the inspiration for Wolves came from, and why you felt compelled to tell a story like this.
Yeah, so currently I'm a Chapman graduate directing student, and so this project was actually one of my first exercises in Chapman as part of a class project. I partnered with the writer, and yeah, his original script was like more of a period piece, took place in, I believe, Haiti, and so logistically, for the amount of time we had to do it and everything, it just wasn't possible to capture that. So I worked with him to make it more of a modern piece. And then also kind of embedded some of the things I want into it. And he took the suggestions very well. This is what I consider to be my first like real horror short that I've like really put a lot of time and thought into.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm glad it's being received so well. But yeah, that was kind of like the process. The writer had a lot of knowledge about the mythology of werewolves in Haiti. And so after reading it, I did my research, and then I tweaked it a bit, tried to add some of my own like personal history into it. But yeah, that was that was all in the script. It was all with the writer, so all props due to him.
Yeah, the idea, the mythology, Haitian mythology, is something that is unbeknownst to me. So I was really curious because it takes place here in the States, correct? Like
in New Orleans, yeah.
In New Orleans. And is that specific to the mythology as well of where it takes place, or that's just your interpretation of the work?
That was my interpretation because fortunately I found an actress who could speak Creole, which is one of the languages of Haiti. And so in my opinion, I know there's a Haitian population in New Orleans. I know there's people who speak Creole in New Orleans. So I was like, this is perfect. Why not have it take place here? The house we found, which was in Orange, California, it looked antique. It looked like it could have been in New Orleans. So I think all the pieces just kind of like fell together.
Groovy. Yeah, you have some really cool shots in there. I'm a big fan. Right away from my first viewing, just the panning shot from the window to the door. that initial shot of like with the creaking in the background, just the composition of that, I was on the edge of that was excellent. I was in it. Like that's because you start with a bang right away with the jump into like the wolf attack, and then he wakes up, which made me think, seeing the entire movie, you have the kid that's going out, and it's caught by his mother, and his mother weaves the tale for us and for him as well, which, but then the way you shot it and the way it was lit, I was thinking, is this a dream? Like I thought I saw, like I'm wrong, but I'm right or wrong. It doesn't really matter. But in terms of like, it had a dream aesthetic where it's just like, did he wake up or is he waking up in the dream? Because also it's such the mother is so eerie, I thought, and so like detached. And I was wondering, like, yeah, I was very curious in terms of like the process of that, because it's up to, I thought visually as a short, it's up to interpretation, and I just wanted to know, you as the filmmaker, where I guess, where were you in terms of crafting it, like?
Yeah, I think, man, that's so cool and crazy that you say that, because I just showed my aunt the short recently, and she said, "Oh, I thought the the mom was the wolf," and so
Yeah.
it seems like every person I talk to has like a different interpretation of it. And I'm gonna be honest, that wasn't my intention when initially crafting it. In my head, it's like, this is the script, this is what I'm telling the actors when I was doing my prep. This is the backstory. But I love it that all this kind of lore is coming out of it. And I think for me, that tells, that speaks to me and the crew that we did our jobs well, because everyone is not only invested, but has these questions that are, still in being involved within the myth of the story. So for me as a storyteller, that's like a high praise, because Jordan Peele says, like, Jordan Peele doesn't even answer some questions about some of his films, like with all the fan theories and stuff. So I feel like, if I can like even get close to that level, that is like just an honor to me. So
Oh, no, I mean, I mean, on my take, there's definitely a level of mystery. I never really felt I knew where I was standing in terms of the reality of what was happening, which is good, I feel, because I was engaged, but I was just like, I don't know if this is real or not. But it is real to the boy, to this young kid that wakes up with these nightmares. And then, yeah, I not to, echo your aunt, but I was really unsettled by the mom. I was just like, what's her deal? Because she was giving all these, the whole silver thing, and the way she threatened, like physically about it. It was, yeah, it was a lot of questions. I was really curious up to know more. And then you talk about the mythology, and I wondered, since I don't know it, I was always
yeah.
thinking, is that part of the mythology? Is like the mother figure encompassing that, or yeah?
Yeah, so with the mythology of like werewolves in Haiti, at least what I researched, it's that, people who are kind of like the lower class, the kind of like uh poor, homeless, sometimes mentally ill, those kind of classes of people in Haiti are kind of like seen as like wolves, as werewolves. And like if you go out and be with those people, like you're gonna turn into one of them. And so that's kind of like the one of the bases around that kind of mythology. And so for me in my head, when crafting the story with the writer, it was more so of like, the mother doesn't want Tiho, the young boy, to leave the home because she knows in her head that he's going to get attacked. That's how his father died. But I think what made it more interesting to me is that the way in which she went about it and telling him and warning him was threatening to the boy. So it's like the boy doesn't know whether or not to like fear what's in his home or fear what's actually outside, because he's never witnessed it or had negative things happen to him personally. So he's kind of just going out on a whim in naivety. But I think that's one thing I wanted to come across in the story is that, there's definitely like a generational divide between like young and old people in families. And sometimes all it takes is the right approach or the wrong approach to like steer someone in the wrong direction. So I hope that came across when people watch the film. So
I mean, there's definitely questions in terms of that little clash that they had of him being a man and taking responsibility. That was so specific toward, in terms of like, oh, what are they talking about? Like, what is the real conversation that's happening? Because it like, is it about the wolves? But it's also it's the family dynamic that's happening in that moment. So it just made me think, like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And I want to know more.
Yeah.
I think lastly, I want to know, like, are you planning to explore this idea more, or are you jumping on the next project?
For me, I'm jumping on to the next project. It's so funny that I've been told multiple times, like, oh, like this seems like a proof of concept for a feature. And the more and more people say it, I'm like, oh, I guess I kind of could. I'm actually working on another idea that, funnily enough, involves a horror story with like Black people and dogs. So
Mm-hmm.
totally separate from this though. But I think probably give it some time. But I think maybe I will go back to it. But I'm still right now. I'm working on another horror short that also involves like a haunted house and kind of like the mental fatigue of like Black people watching like police brutality videos. So I'm trying to like delve into that more. But yeah, like I love the horror genre. I think I definitely want the first feature I make to be a horror, and I'm still working on that draft now. So
Groovy, man. Well, I can't wait. I hope to see your work further in the future, because yeah, your cinematography, your lighting, it looks slick. It was really good. I like a lot of a lot as in terms of a film. I really enjoyed the aesthetic that you're going for. So in terms of if you're pursuing that genre, can't wait to see more, Desmond.
thank you so much. That
Yeah.
means a lot. We took a lot of inspiration from Get Out,
Mm-hmm.
Us. So it just warms my heart because I hold Jordan Peele in like super high regard. So this is so cool.
As we all should.
Really,
The
really
guy,
though.
the guy knocked it out of the park with one movie. Like his
With
first movie
one
was,
movie.
yeah, surprise. Yeah, it was wonderful. Desmond, thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry we have to cut this short, but I do hope that more success to you in your upcoming career. And yeah, man, congrats and thank you again.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
I am with Darius Valentine, writer, director, producer, actor, one of the actors in the cast of A Nightmare of a Night. Hello, Darius. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Thank you for joining us. First of all, congratulations on making a movie, because even that alone is already a miracle. So having a film festival is just a celebration of miracles. But also, congrats on a very not a technically easy thing to do, and a very entertaining and dangerous looking film. So I really enjoyed watching it. First off, how many takes?
Well, we did it in a couple of broken up different segments
Yeah.
throughout the film, but I believe there was 5 or 6 different actual takes cut together for that film to
Nice
look like
for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good job on hiding the cuts, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very good. On my second viewing, I was like, okay, got it. But still, it's very well done. For those tuning in, obviously, A Nightmare of a Night, a very engaging thriller about a home invasion. So what spawned the idea to make a movie about this, as well as choosing the way you chose to shoot it?
I had this idea where I had seen a couple of different movies that had inspired me to make a film about a home invasion that was very closed off and locked into just a couple of different characters and the way that they reacted to the situation that they were in. And then because of that, because the way the film was written and it took place in real time, I felt that the need to share that and show that to the audience in real time, to
Mhm.
have you actually live the journey of Mia's character in real time with her without any visual cutting or distractions from actually being in the middle of this nightmare per se.
Gotcha. And while shooting this, to get I guess the steps, the choreography down, and whatnot. How was the crew? Basically, the people I'm watching on screen.
A lot of them were the
Yeah.
the two main actors, Mars and Charlotte. They really did a lot of the legwork as far as all of the stunts were all of them, all of the choreography. We did a lot of that beforehand. We spent hours blocking out each and every scene and figuring out how we wanted to do it. A lot of the work was from them of doing a lot of takes over and over and over again until we got it the way that looked best. And
Mhm.
then a lot of the crew actually behind the camera, the cinematographer Craig, he just did an incredible job of actually running around with the camera multiple times over and over again, just watching his arms just try not to shake as we're doing take after take after take. He did incredible. And then Brendan with audio actually being able to hide behind the camera and get good clean audio, and the the PA, the assistant Jack that we had as well, he just was incredible because we had a couple of shots where we needed things to move behind the camera while the camera was pointing in a different direction. So it was always fun to watch him run from one place to another, moving stuff around so that by the time the camera moved, he was out of the shot and what we needed was set up. So it was a lot of legwork from everybody involved, and I'm just very grateful for all of them for putting in that hard work.
There is, as a filmmaker, you definitely think there's a lot of challenges in pulling that off as well. One being you really you made the viewer. I was paying attention to all the reflections that were happening because I'm looking at the surroundings of Mia. I'm watching everything around her because that's that's what the film felt like. That was just like, oh, I have to pay attention to whatever, because Mia is distracted. She's got her own MO, and so we're kind of following whatever's around her and is about to happen to her. So in terms of the filmmaking aspect, did you run into any troubles? I think you mentioned a little bit in terms of, like, the DP and whatnot, and the PAs having to walk around the set. But you, as the storyteller and the main guy in charge of this, were there any issues that you found in terms of getting this off the ground to run as smoothly as possible?
The As far as before we got on set, there really weren't any issues. It was a lot of, we did a couple of like read throughs and rehearsals and a couple of meetings before we got on set to make sure everyone was on the same page. But the biggest hurdle was really actually figuring out the best way to do everything once we got on set. Once we sat down, it's like, okay, here's the fight scene between the two of you. Here's how it's written. What can you do to make it work the best that we can with the location we have? And then finding the actual camera angle that showed it the best and hid the fact that we weren't actually making contact between the two actors. So that was the biggest hurdle, was finding the best angle and the best way to show and hide what needed to be seen or not seen.
Gotcha. Was it was overall? I know the overall was the entire shoot. No matter how many takes you did of the entire thing, was this all over one night?
We filmed this over 2 nights.
2 nights.
Yeah, the ending sequence was filmed the second night that we were shooting. We made um, really good progress the first night with everyone just getting their heads down and just doing what needed to get done and just running through it as quickly as we could, as many times as we needed to get it down.
Mhm.
Um, and then, of course, the sequence at the very end of the film that takes place during the day was actually shot the morning of our second day before we actually filmed the climax of the film.
That's good. And so you had to reset and
Yes.
then reset again.
Yes.
In a way, yeah, I hate when that happens. It's such a, like, it's the best idea, it's the smartest solution, but it's the most frustrating one as well,
Yes.
because you kind of like set the tone with like night one, I would imagine, and then to redo it, it was like, thankfully it really, the camera picks up the story picks up in terms of like intensity, and it just really intensifies towards the end, going down the stairs and everything. And then the ending surprised me, because then, oh, okay, it's a literal title. The
Yes.
title is
Yes.
literal.
That was the idea behind doing two title cards, one at the beginning, one at the end, was so to kind of set the stage for maybe it being not so literal
Mhm.
as far as the title's concerned, and then actually at the end of the film it's like, oh no, it was quite literally a nightmare.
Yeah, this was a finite idea.
Yes.
Yeah, that was excellent, sir. I appreciated that. As the viewer, I was just like, yeah, right, of course, good,
Mhm.
good, because yeah, I felt when it happened, I was thinking, oh, is this later? Is this before the titles came up? I forgot that. Ah, got it. So good work on that. You you put it, you bookended it. You bookended your own film in a very nice way. So I appreciate that. Technically speaking, since we have me being one of them and probably some filmmakers watching, what did you shoot on?
That was the Blackmagic Pocket 6K.
Oh, excellent. I've heard
Yes.
one. I have not been able to play with that. I've
It's
heard great
incredible.
things.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
It's a good camera.
Yes.
Yeah. Few filmmakers in the festival circuit have praised it and talked about it as well. So I'm not very versed in the costuming, but is that mask custom or from something?
That mask was it was like a stock custom order type deal where we found a person who was making the mask on Etsy, and we reached out to them and said, hey, would it be all right if we use this in a film? And they said, absolutely. And so it was really cool to kind of find a unique mask that was made custom, was made per order every time. And then actually getting to use that in the film. So hopefully it's the only time anyone ever sees that mask in a film.
So now that you have this year, what's next for you, Darius, as a filmmaker?
I'm trying to get more towards features, where my goal has always been feature films. So through this lockdown, I've been writing a few more feature films, taking some of the short films I've made and developing them into feature films to kind of use the short film as like a proof of concept, and just really trying to work my way towards making a larger budget feature film.
Groovy, man. That's excellent. Well, that's good, Darius. Is there anywhere, is your old work or the films that you've done, are they up for watching online and whatnot?
Yes, every film I've made is available. Some on YouTube, one's on Amazon Prime. All can be found on my website, which is just dariusvalentine.com.
Fantastic. You heard it here, folks. And I'm here with Richard Zelnicker, the director of Beckoned. Richard, hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming, man. Again, first off, congratulations on a very, very tense and taut experience, which was Beckoned. I really enjoyed many aspects, and not just the story, but also the film as technically. I really enjoyed it as well. So I'll just start off was like, where'd you birth the idea to make this little scary gem?
Well, actually, what happened was I made another film in this location about 6 months earlier. Actually, it's right behind us, called Candy Apple Red. Another little well, it was a thriller, not a horror movie. And the investors liked what we did with the movie, and they came to me and said, "Hey, if you come up with another story set in the woods, set in this house, because we have this house up there, then we will give you the money to make a follow-up movie." So my wife, who's also a writer, we were sitting around and thinking of ideas, yada, yada, yada. We had to do something very self-contained. We were limited to the woods and to this house and to actually nighttime, because we couldn't get permits to shoot during the day. So bam, we wanted to make a ghost story. So my wife and I threw some ideas around. We came up with this couple that goes up to this small town and gets lost on the road, or gets hung up on the road rather, and lose their way with the bad cell. And I don't want to give away the story for those of you that are going to get a chance to see it. So it was born from just the economy of having to make a movie in with a few resources. But I've always been in love with the 90s horror films, and sort of the old story of what do you do when you're faced with not being able to get out alive. And so with these guys stuck on the road, cell gone, car, it's not that new a story. It's been told before. But what I think we turned on its head, or what I tried to turn on its head, is it becomes more of the woman being the savior rather than the boy saving the girl. It really becomes driven by Ciara Hanna's character, who is imbued by the ghost, and then of course, as they're beckoned to the lake because there's actually something to find there. So. so we turned it on its head a little. I think we did something a little bit different, and also I tried to sort of complete the story or finish the story or end the story on a more poetic note rather than bludgeoning the protagonists, and sort of go in that more than, for me, an obvious way. I tried to tell the story in a way that there's something positive that came out of all of it. I think that there's something poetic and something hopeful in the end, rather than just,
Right.
And so that's how it came about. And the idea that you mentioned, the technical aspect of the film, I'm very proud of what we did in sound design, in music, in the color of the movie. Considering it was a very low budget, we used it to our advantage. The hills and the woods. I think we were able to really put together something that's bigger than it really is, because we shot in a very small space, like 3 locations that we made look like a very, very sprawling movie, I think. And that was a great challenge, but I think we pulled it off. I had some incredible people working with me, and our post guys, just my VFX guy and my editor. We work, for me personally as a director, I really make my movie in the editing room, so long as I get the opportunity to shoot the crap out of what I'm looking to do. My tools, if I can gather all my tools to get in the editing room, that's where I do my final rewrite, so to speak. And I think that's where the movies are made more often than not, at least in my experience, and I've made a few movies. So
I agree with that sentiment as well. And I must say, you talking about the movie that you made and having a harking to 90s horror, I would wholeheartedly say you nailed that, because that's what I got right away, even with the choice of how it was scored, the intensity, the camera work towards when it intensifies, I guess. I really enjoyed, you had all this, coming in through the foreground and the background, very, very well done handheld work, or rig. It seemed handheld to me.
it was mostly handheld, you're correct. And I wanted it that way because, again, very much an homage to some 90s films. I mean, I'm a huge fan of John Carpenter's original material. And that whole time, that era is just, I stole a bunch of stuff from there.
Do you know In the Mouth of Madness?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
I
thought you did.
you did see pieces of that. You did.
I did.
Thank you for taking notice.
Oh,
I
yeah.
always say, I'm in the midst of, I'm in pre-production on, I just finished 2 other short films that are now in the festival circuit. I just finished them like 6 weeks ago. We shot them during COVID and we got them out quickly, and we're having great success with these 2 little movies, 2 follow-up movies. And now I'm prepping for this thriller that happens in one room, and I'm going to steal from John Frankenheimer's To Live and Die in LA.
Oh, nice.
I told my DP, this is what we're stealing right now. We're stealing that. And my earlier one, Green Banana, that's now on the circuit, that I just threw into the festival circuit 6 weeks ago. I had everybody look at Wes Anderson's work and the symmetry and if you're going to steal from the best,
Oh yeah, I absolutely. Yeah. Robin Blind. Robin Blind. Was this which it's totally plausible, was this a one night shoot?
No, we actually ended up doing 4 nights. We broke it down to do 2 nights, and then we had to come back and do 2 more nights because the actors, there were a lot of demands on the actors, that stuff where the ghost is at the bottom of the hill and them having to, they did their own stunts, and it was pretty tough going. We were on pretty difficult terrain and treacherous even at times. And so, we had cameras down here and up here, and we had to rig stuff. And so it was a tough shoot. And So we didn't get everything done in 2 nights, and we had to come back for 2 more nights. This investor was so excited about the material, he was willing to throw more down, and so we got it done in 4 nights actually.
That's excellent. It pays off. It really does. I think that first scare did get me hard. I was not, because it was right away, and specific on how you showed it as well. I really enjoyed that.
I have the best time in post. Like I said,
Mhm.
I'm repeating myself, but post is where I live. My editor, I work with a guy named Stephen Command, who's just a brilliant guy. And we work hand in hand. I could be taking co-editing credit on everything because I'm in on every edit and every cut, but we work beautifully together. It's a great collaboration. I work with the same composer, Asdru Sierra, who's just phenomenal. He's won some Grammys with a band called Ozo Motley. Now he's moving into composition. So I've surrounded myself with really talented people to help me get the vision and the story that I'm working very hard to attain.
Well, it seems like you guys, you do have a good team. It's pretty noticeable on screen. Yeah, surrounding yourself with all the best people it's like stealing from the best. Like then your work is done. Half of it is done already.
Absolutely.
That's excellent. I know you spoke a little bit about how you made a twist on the genre.
Yes.
To that twist, it in my eyes, it looked like, is this a bigger idea? Because at the end, since there is a twist, it turns, without spoiling anything, it does turn into a different genre almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've already spoken a little bit about having other projects going, and I wondered if this film, it's this finite insular thing, or is it maybe something else?
Well, that's a great question, David, because for me, and actually for my wife, there is a beginning and middle and end to this story. However, as you know, after seeing it, it is that bigger question. So something obviously can happen next and next.
Yeah.
And so,
Correct.
and so there's the question of maybe how many bodies, or what else are we going to find around the water, and so on. And is this apparition gone forever, or does she have a further job? So that question is open, and there are other things being written towards that goal. That I can tell you.
Cool. No, it's a deep, and really, it felt like you left the movie with a deep well of possibilities.
Thank you.
That's excellent. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm here with Richard Zelniker. The movie was Beckoned.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much.
And tonight, I'm here with John Rice and Adrian Lovett, writer, director of The Dark Room. Hello, John. Hello, Adrian.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, David.
Well, I would like to know, for myself as well as for everybody watching, where did the idea come from, and how did the collaboration flourish?
Well, I wrote a feature version of The Dark Room a few years ago. And I wrote it in a way where I knew that we could produce it on an indie level. And there was this crazy turn of events last year. Was it last year? Yeah. Last year, where my parents' house, the house that I grew up in, that my grandfather built, got bought by the government because of a highway project that was happening. And there was this like magical little window of like 2 months where the house was just sitting totally empty. And Adrian and I were like, well, let's just film a short proof of concept video. And it was like, honestly, like you said, miracles. It was just like pulling rabbits out of hats. I feel like we did it in like 2 months or something crazy.
Really fast.
It was something else. Having a whole house to yourself to make a movie is any filmmaker's dream, really, and which rarely happens. Where, especially with all the technical aspects that had to go down to make a film like this. Obviously, talking about you know, everything that went down in the barn, as well as the living room scene when one of your main characters is possessed. Like there's all these technical things that you couldn't really do at just like someone's apartment, or unless you had the budget to go to a soundstage or have a set built or something like that. How soon after you guys shot was the house like over and done with?
Like instantly there were signs, like no trespassing signs put up. But I always like to tell this story that on the final night, our cast party, it was like 3 a.m. We were all delirious when we wrapped. We just took the stage blood and just put like bloody handprints all over the walls for the interstate people to find. And then like 2 months later, they called my parents and they were like, do we need to report a crime? Because there's blood all over this house.
How does it work, and how does your collaboration work? The audience as well doesn't know. John Rice and Adrian Lovett have worked together many times over. They write together. They produce it's a back scratching relationship really in terms of the creative. And I just want to, if you can talk a little bit about your process together.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've always worked together even before our TV film making days. We were kind of in musical theater together, not kind of, we were heavily in musical theater together. and we sang a lot together, and we did cabarets together, and so we were always working together in some capacity. We were also roommates. Like we were just in each other's lives a lot, and we worked together. It was crazy. So we always had this connection, and also this understanding in regards to how we work together, and I feel like whatever I lack, John has, and so it just kind of,
and vice versa.
Thank you. But you know, it works, you know, and so the collaboration just continued, just in a different entertainment venue, I guess you could say, as opposed to being on stage where, you know, focused more on screen stuff. And you know, in regards to the dark room, I mean, again, John had written that as a feature. We were planning on doing the feature eventually, soon, hopefully. But we thought that doing the short concept and proof of concept was the best way to, you know, show what we could do, also get some funding, maybe get some investors. It's always best to have a visual. And, you know, we came up with the idea of doing, so the script, or the short that you see, is like the party before the feature film's party. So it's two different parties. It's different characters in the feature, but it's the same essence and the same, the lead character and the story of the sister and all that, that's still within the feature, but the short is the pre-party. So it kind of paints a nice little picture before the actual feature, which is a lot even darker.
Yeah, this short is like the PG version.
Yes, I would say we consider this like the PG version. But yeah, I mean, I love working with John. I've always loved working with John, and I always look forward to all the things that we have planned in the future.
Yeah, I always tell people that it's so rare in this industry, I mean, in life in general, but in this industry, to find people who say, let's do a thing, let's make a thing, and then they actually do it. And Adrian is one of those people, and it's just so rare that you just don't let it go when you find that.
No, I feel that
He's
way.
not gonna let go, Adrian.
I'm not gonna let go.
He's not gonna let go.
No, we're in it
No.
to the end.
Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear, guys. That really is. Adrian and John, in terms of like, you know, you both were on set, you both consult each other and whatnot, you work together on set, shoot days. Any troubles or like concerns, or like were there any kind of like any set things that were like troublesome during production? You know, we're all independent filmmakers here, and there's always something, or maybe not, but like any was there any like problems technically, or any troubles that you were frustrated with that oh, I wish this would have happened or something, or
I feel like for me, I wished I had more time to shoot more
Mhm.
coverage. It's always I think that's my biggest battle on set is if you see my shot list before filming, it's insane. It's like my shot list looks like we're a multi-million dollar budget and I have all this time
right.
and I don't. So we end up cutting down so much before each day. Me and my DP would go through the entire shot list and the whole day in the morning before we shot, and we would just start cutting down and being like, what do we need? What do we don't need?
Mhm.
And it breaks my heart sometimes because I see a scene and everyone else is like, it looks great, and I'm like, yeah, but if I got this shot and this angle and this take and this da 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 da, it would make me personally happier.
Mhm.
I think that's my biggest. I always feel like that's the biggest battle is time.
Mhm.
Um, and in regards to my biggest challenge personally as a director, John, I don't know what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, we made our actor Tim fly through the air, so that was a technical first
Right,
Nice.
that
on an indie budget. That's not easy to do. So that
that
was a lot of trial and error.
it was a lot of trial and error, and I think we achieved it, especially with that indie budget. And I think what helped a lot was the fact that we could do whatever we wanted with the house,
Right.
because anyone else's house would not let us go on the roof and drill through beams. You know what I mean? So that's what we did.
Yeah.
You guys made a like a sort of a pulley system for that to work?
Yep, yep, exactly.
That's crazy. That is crazy. John Rice, you being the writer and you collaborating with Adrian, and you yourself writing, and from
Mhm.
personal experience and knowledge, you are very prolific in terms of just cranking out scripts and ideas and stories and whatnot. How when it comes to the day of, you being an actor in the film as well and collaborating with Adrian,
Mhm.
the marriage to you and the words that you write, like how hard on you on yourself as the writer, and then on the day of, like which person is there on set more? Is it like the writer or the performer? And then how does that uh influence like the day of in terms of production?
Sure. I just let everything go. To be honest, I'm not a stickler for lines. If an actor has an idea or they want to do something a certain way, then that's what they should do. I feel like with film, there's so much flying by the seat of your pants that like you have to be open to things changing. And I mean, this is even on the biggest sets that I've worked on. Like Netflix shows, what like you get lines literally handed to you right before they roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you just gotta go with it. And like I said, I met with each actor before we started shooting, and I told them, I was like, listen, if you want to like change lines or you want to riff on something, just like let me know, but like go for it. Because I think things end up being much richer when people are given that sort of creative freedom.
Nice. Nice. And Adrian, in terms of you talked a little bit about compromising really, in terms of like your biggest like challenge on set is just like to have like, oh, you have this impressive epic shot list or like all these ideas and whatnot that kind of they hinder you at first, but maybe it doesn't matter because you keep moving forward. When it comes to like the script and the moment, do you share the same feelings as John does, or are there like, what's precious to you in terms of like a director?
No, I mean, I do share that. I tried to have a rehearsal
Mm-hmm.
before, and I try to have a blocking rehearsal before. If it's not days before, it's a few minutes before we're actually going to shoot.
Mhm.
And if an actor tells me like, "Hey, I'm not feeling right about this line. Can I say it like this instead of this?" I'm fine with that as long as the writer is fine with that. I'm fine with them feeling comfortable making it their own,
Mm-hmm.
so it sounds more real, because I never want it to sound scripted. You know what I mean? So if it sounds real and it's coming from, yeah, by all means change it. And I'm the same with blocking, because we'll block it and then they're like, I think I want to enter from over here instead. And as long as it works with how we're shooting it, I'm fine. Most of the time, I'll, as a director, I mean, it's my job to I'll collaborate with everybody, but it's my job to have the final say and go, okay, no, we're going to do it this way and move on. Because if not, we can all, mess around forever. So
Mhm.
it becomes an acting class, so we have things to do, other scenes to shoot. So I do make the final decision. But I'm open to hearing what actors have to say and what works for them, what doesn't. But I really do have a sit down with each and every actor
Mhm.
and have a conversation about their characters, about moments in the script. And so then that way, when it gets to it, there's no, everyone's on the same page.
Copy. Guys, thank you so much for sticking around and talking shop a little bit with me.